Hi everyone, this is a video that I've always wanted to do, and finally I figure I get around to actually doing it. I'm going to start doing a lot more personal videos on my channel, not just movie reviews and kind of combination lists. I kind of want to let you guys know a bit more about my movie tastes and the kinds of movies that I'm into. Now, I started this channel about 2 years ago as an avenue for just recording the movies that I would watch, and so I just wouldn't forget about them. The original idea was that I wanted to cover a lot of B-grade movies and a lot of low-budget movies and movies that no one ever really talked about. Unfortunately, the channel kind of morphed into me covering a lot of Asian films, and then I found myself just watching a lot of Asian films, but not super enjoying them. I mean, I still enjoy watching Asian films, but my passion is not absolutely every movie I have to watch is Asian. So I wanted to make this video of my 10 of my favorite movies. Now, these are not all of my favorite movies. I'm going to make a couple more videos later on with more of my favorite movies, but the movies in this video are the ones that I would consider my absolute favorites. And without a doubt, I think every guy most guys would probably say this, but the Die Hard trilogy is without a doubt my favorite trilogy or my favorite sets of movies. I love everything to do with Die Hard 1, 2, and 3. Not so much 4 and 5, which I do own, but they are bootlegs of. This is a bootleg of part 4. That sticker on the cover says it has Japanese subtitles because it was bought in an area of Shanghai that predominantly sells pirate discs to Japanese tourists. And this is just a really super bootleg, I call this. It's just a really nasty bootleg of Die Hard 5. I never bothered to upgrade these to proper Blu-rays because I don't particularly like the two films, but Die Hard 1, 2, and 3 are what I would consider my favorite movies. If I had to pick one as the favorite, I think that's like asking a parent who has 3 children which child they would pick as their favorite. They would look at you and laugh and go, I love all of them equally, and then secretly say, Die Hard with a Vengeance. So, probably Die Hard with a Vengeance, because it's the one I've seen the most out of all of the movies. I love Die Hard. So, great way to start this video by telling you guys that I'm just a Die Hard nut. You're going to notice a running theme with a lot of the movies on this list. I am an 80s and 90s child, the teenager in the 90s, and a lot of my favorite movies and a lot of movies that influenced me, I watched when I was in my teens, which was in the 90s. So a lot of the movies on this list are going to be 90s movies. So next up, another movie that I can watch to death is Michael Douglas's Falling Down. There is just something really unique about this film that I adore. I don't know if it's Michael Douglas, I don't know if it's Robert Duvall, I don't know if it's any of the other supporting cast that's in it. It's the scenario, it's the situation, the fact that this whole thing happens in a day, the fact that it's directed by Joel Schumacher. It's just a brilliant film. I love it. The first time I saw this, it was on television where they removed all the swearing bar one F word. And I remember thinking, wow, that's pretty cool. I heard the F word on television. And then hunting down this movie on VHS and watching it, and then eventually finding it on, unfortunately, bootleg Blu-ray discs. So this is not an original. I haven't found where I can buy an original of this disc yet. So unfortunately, I have to settle for this bootleg. Now, this movie is here for reference only. This is the Halloween that was released 2 years ago, but my absolute favorite Halloween movie, you're going to laugh if you know the Halloween series, is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, I like both of the original cut and the producer's cut. The producer's cut is terrific. I have seen that really kind of wishy-washy, low-quality version of the producer's cut, and I did enjoy it. I don't own Halloween 6 on Blu-ray disc. I don't even know if it is on Blu-ray disc, but I do have it on DVD somewhere. Maybe not in this house, maybe back at my old man's house. And I have watched Halloween 6 to death. I cannot tell you why I like that movie so much. It is not a great Halloween movie. It's probably better than 4 and 5, but it's not a great Halloween movie. Maybe it's Paul Rudd, his first ever movie that he starred in. Maybe that's why I liked it, but definitely Halloween 6. I remember renting it from the video store the week it came out. The lady who worked at the video store was a big Halloween fan, and she said, Dan, you need to watch this. And so I did, and I loved it. Not many other people did. Now, this, again, not this version of The Lion King. So I only own this version of The Lion King on Blu-ray disc, or this is 4K Blu-ray disc. But the original 1993 Disney Lion King is an outstanding film. I love it. I am not afraid to admit that I love Disney animation movies. Like anyone growing up in the 80s and 90s, I have seen a lot of Disney animation movies, and The Lion King is probably one of my favorite films. Again, seen it many times, played the Super Nintendo game to death. I remember when I finally worked out how to finish that game, I was over the moon. So yeah, I just love The Lion King. Everyone loves The Lion King, surely, but maybe not that remake. Now, this is an unusual one because this is from 1993 as well. This is Tombstone. Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer's Tombstone, the condensed version of Wyatt Earp, came around the same time as Kevin Costner brought out his 3-hour epic of Wyatt Earp, and then Kurt Russell brought out this 2-hour version that was literally just the fight at the OK Corral and the bits around that, and it just deals with the action there. Val Kilmer is terrific as Doc Holliday. Kurt Russell is awesome as Wyatt Earp. I was never a Western fan. My dad adores Western movies. I would roll my eyes whenever he watched a Western. Then I went to university in 2000 and did genre studies, and the genre that we were studying was Westerns, and I absolutely fell in love with Westerns. Then realized that I had already had a Western movie that was my favorite, which was Tombstone. I for some reason, never ever considered it a Western. Would always consider it just an action movie or a real life biopic of Wyatt Earp. I love Tombstone. I think it's a great film. And you'll notice I haven't even opened it up yet. This is another movie that I really adore, and I can watch it time and time and time again. And again, it must be a guy thing. Maybe it is a guy thing. Saving Private Ryan. I bought this and I haven't even opened it either. So I clearly haven't watched Saving Private Ryan in a while, but it's just one of those movies that I adore as well. Just a 3-hour long war movie with an all-star cast: Tom Hanks, Tom Sizemore, Matt Damon. You could go on. In fact, I have to kind of refer to the back of the box to remember who's in it. Edward Burns. The list goes on, and I will have just having a mental blank about the entire cast of this movie, but I just remember it being phenomenal, and probably one of my, well, it is my favorite Spielberg movie because it's the only one in this collection that is a Spielberg film. Saving Private Ryan is awesome. The first time, this is a funny story, the first time I ever saw it was I was coming back from school this week, so 98, from Bali, and a friend of mine had bought a pirated copy of Saving Private Ryan on 3 VCD discs. And I remember him being so excited because the front cover said it had Dolby Digital on it. And he goes, Dan, you got to come over, we'll watch it on 5.1 surround sound. And I'm like, it's a VCD disc, dude. It's barely going to have any quality on it. Anyway, it was one of those ultra shit hand cameras in the cinema where there's people's heads walking across the movie. The sound quality was atrocious. The color was all washed out. But despite all of those flaws, I was still able to enjoy the 3-hour movie. So, then watching it again in proper quality, it's such a great film, and I absolutely love it. This is another movie from my high school years. You're going to laugh. Men in Black. Anyone who says they don't like Men in Black is lying, and that's a fact. Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones are fantastic in this film, and the real star, everyone knows, the real star of Men in Black is Vincent D'Onofrio. His kind of give me sugar in water is fantastic. And, you know, the bit where he rips his head back because his wife's complaining that his skin's falling off. Men in Black is a guilty pleasure of mine, and I love watching it. I like number 2 and I have number 3 somewhere behind me. I thought number 3 was okay. I did watch the International, the Men in Black International, the new one, and thought it was okay. unnecessary, but okay. If they want to refresh Men in Black, go ahead. But Mr. Jones, Mr. Smith, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, the original Men in Black movie, is brilliant, and I love it to death. This one I had to leave a note because I only own this on DVD and I don't have the Blu-ray yet, and I'm pretty sure there is a Blu-ray of it. It's the original Scream movie. Again, came out in high school. When I was, 96, 97 it came out, and it was at that time where you're coming off that 80s, early 90s horror boom of the Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, the Hellraiser type movies, and there hadn't really been a decent horror film come out yet. And then all of a sudden, Wes Craven was back after Nightmare on Elm Street series. Wes Craven was back, and this dude called Kevin Williamson, who was doing this show called Dawson's Creek, was apparently a massive movie fan, and he apparently wrote this movie script about Scream 2 and got Wes Craven to direct it, and for somehow got Drew Barrymore to star in a movie where she gets killed in the first 10 minutes of it. Scream, the first Scream, is brilliant. It is clever. It is fun to watch, and it is a movie I can watch again and again and again. As someone who just loves horror movies, I would be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't really enjoy Scream, even for the ironic self-referential bits in it about, the horror movie rules. In regards to sequels to Scream, I remember 2 being okay, and I don't really remember 3 and 4. And those wacky spin-offs, those wacky kind of parody movies, Scary Movie, they were great. The first Scary Movie especially was fantastic. But Scream is probably, alongside Halloween 6, one of my favorite horror films. Got 2 more films for you. This one is always going to be a favorite regardless. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And I have no idea where I bought this disc from, because this looks like an American disc. So I don't know where the hell that has come from. But regardless of the advancements of movie technology and the advancements of special effects, Terminator 2 always looks brilliant in my books. I love the special effects. I love the story. I love that director's cut that adds that 45 minutes of extra footage, turning it into a 3-hour movie. A 3-hour Terminator movie? Yes, please, especially when it's Terminator 2. You've got to think back to when it came out, 1991, when it came out, and the technology at the time, I was playing on a Sega Master System. Now, the Mega Drives were out and Super Nintendos were out. So, the kind of technology out there was pretty low. We owned 386 computers, and my school had Apple IIe's. There was no computers like we have now, and yet this movie came out with its brilliant special effects. And, there's a scene of Eddie Murphy as John Connor hacking an ATM with a fucking Atari. I mean, come on, man, Atari? Great movie. If you haven't seen Terminator 2, and I don't know a single person who hasn't, but if you haven't seen Terminator 2, you should watch it. Regardless of the age of the film, watch it. Final one on this list, and this is a movie that I fell in love with because of my media studies teacher in high school showed me this, and it is an Alfred Hitchcock movie. It's my favorite Alfred Hitchcock film. It is from I bet you this box is not going to tell me. It says 1951 here, but this is a bootleg of the Alfred Hitchcock collection. So I'm not exactly sure whether the packaging has actually got the correct dates on it or not, or if it's just recycled from some other film that the bootleg has used. But Strangers on a Train is my favorite Hitchcock movie, better than Psycho for me. I know it's not a better film than Psycho, but to me it's better than Psycho. Better than North by Northwest, which is another terrific movie. Better than Rear Window. Rebecca's pretty good though. But Strangers on a Train, this movie, if you've never seen it, it's an old black and white film about these 2 blokes that meet on a train. One of them is a famous tennis player. The other one is just a guy who is kind of a fan. He's from a wealthy family, but he's a bit nutty. And they have a drunken conversation where they talk about wanting to kill someone important in their lives. The tennis player wants to kill his partner because she's getting in the way, and the man wants to kill his mother because she's controlling his life. And so drunkenly they decide to make this pact where they will kill each other's pains in the asses, essentially, because, you know, there can be nothing that connects the two together. The problem is that I believe it's Farley Granger. I can't remember which one Farley Granger is now. No, Farley's the guy, the tennis player. It's Bruno, Robert Walker. Bruno is the one that carries out the plan to kill Guy's partner. And then when he expects Guy to come through and kill his mother, that's when things turn a bit crazy in the film. Don't want to spoil it. And I know it's a 60-year-old film, but it's really good. If you take one recommendation from this whole list of movies, and if you can put up with old black and white films and you think, well, it's a Hitchcock film, I think I can trust watching a Hitchcock film, then definitely Strangers on a Train. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a look at 10 of my favorites, and specifically these are super favorite films in my collection that I really enjoy and can watch over and over again. And again, if you're expecting Asian films, I apologize, but really, I'm asked this question all the time. What are your favorite Asian films? And I struggle to come up with one title, let alone 10. And I will be making a video about my favorite Asian movies, but it'll most likely be more Asian movies I've enjoyed, not necessarily my favorites. I'm going to make some more videos as well, some of my favorite horrors, my favorite Australian movies, because being Australian, I actually really love Australian films. Some of my favorite Japanese horror films, some even my favorite Hong Kong movies as well. So look out for those videos, as well as a couple more videos on other favorites. There's some movies I didn't cover, like The Nightmare Before Christmas, They Live, Lilo and Stitch. Like, I love these films, especially, again, mostly 90s films. So let me know what you think. Which one of my 10 films did you like? Do you like? Which one haven't you seen? Which one would you like to see? What are some of your favorites? Of course, leave a comment in the comments below. Give me a like, please. I need the likes. They're great. Subscribe to the channel. And I'll catch you next time. Thank you very much.